Hi, good morning. I hope all are well. Uh, First of all, I'd like to thank all the professors there of this conference for inviting me. Thank you. So, the title of my paper is Subscribing to the Whitmanian Crowd, a sense of membership and belonging in Ayad Akhtar's Homeland Elegies. Okay. See, Ayad Akhtar's Homeland Elegies deals in the ambiguities and dream of national belonging in the years after 9/11. With the story of a father, a son, and the country they both call home, Akhtar captures belonging and disposition in America, to palatial suites in Central Europe, to guerrilla lookouts in the mountains of Afghanistan, in understanding of rising nationalism and the othering of minorities. Muslim aversion propagated by the 9/11 and the war on terror have tended many Americans to find Islam as a foreign dogma, espousing oppression, irrationality, and violence. Ayad Akhtar, a playwright and novelist, the son of Muslim immigrant from Pakistan in Homeland Elegies, inquires into the complex American identity that explores the bind American as unabashedly patriotic and the risk of being seen as enemies. With his encounters of anti-Muslim prejudice, from a harassing cop to a criticizing lover, Akhtar portrays the anger he feels to be consistently humiliated and under attack in the only country he had ever known. A place that the more he understood, the less he felt he belonged with. With Akhtar's deep intellectual explorations of identity and emotional urgency, the paper looks into the divided loyalty that navigates American dilemma and views the protagonist and his father through the white American gaze to embrace difference and to stop pretending that I felt like an American with love-hate relationships. Exploring the visceral antipathy of Muslims unleashed after 9/11 and returning with greater fury after the rise of Donald Trump, the paper looks into the rise of anti-immigrant and racist ideology, to the failure of American capitalism to advance the hopes of working class people in rural America. Now I am coming to the main structure of the paper. In Homeland Elegies, the struggle of the narrator with a sense of loss and mourning demonstrate a meaning of personal and political in a confusing times of post 9/11 of Trumpian era, which affects the lives of Muslims, religious faith, and ethnicity in the United States and the land of his parents' birth, Pakistan, under the socio-political effect of interactions of the members of one extended family as well as some friends. In the first half of the book, Akhtar pours in the debates about faith, justice, and the differences between the material experiences of the family members who dwell in Pakistan and those who move to the United States, with the trenchant illustrations on the family and history of the Prophet Muhammad, as well as the history of Pakistan and of Afghanistan through the lens of the people he knows well, only to unfold the 21st century America's troubled larger social issues of belonging, faith, immigration, and capitalism in American culture. Homeland Elegies, an autofiction narrated by the protagonist Ayad Akhtar, a man who was born to the Pakistani immigrants in America, mourns the hiccup of being a Muslim in the post 9/11 America. Akhtar's father, Sikandar, a cardiologist who served briefly as Donald Trump's physician in the 1990s, brushes off Trump's anti-Muslim and anti-immigrant rhetoric and supports his presidential candidacy, enthralled to what Trump embodies of the American dream as the self-writ larger than life. Okay, So his father's love for America and a firm belief in its supremacy stands in sharp contrast with his mother Fatima as she misses her old world, the native Pakistan, and finds some consolation in listening to polka music. The reminder, she was not the only one who'd come here from somewhere else, not only one still working to keep alive the memory of another place. So his mother's divided loyalties, but also the contours of the deepest fault line, the narrator believes, separates so much of the so-called Muslim world from the so-called West. Okay. The narrative surveys the radical change of America from the country that Akhtar's parents anticipated they were proceeding with to the country that is today with Trump's proposal for a Muslim database and corrosive effects of Muslim travel ban. Okay. So Muslim ban or Muslim or refugee ban are the first three bans signed by President Trump since January 27, 2017, imposing restrictions to block the admission of nationals from countries with majority Muslim populations or refugees in the assessment of national security threat. In his presidency, Trump fanned the flames of fear and insecurity by promising to wall off the United States from the threats he imagined were just across the threshold. The term them who looked and sounded different than us. President's obsession with an agenda of racial purity and profiling, nativism, xenophobia, and bigotry invite the encounters between the citizen and the foreigner, and how the subjectivity of both figures is reconfigured and reinvested in multiple ways through the interrelated tropes of the usability and disposability. The transnational encounter between the citizen and the foreigner with the abhorred rightful belonging to the nation state often manifests itself in a certain epistemic dominance over foreignness. Here I will draw some references from Julia Kristeva and Sara Ahmed. Julia Kristeva and Sara Ahmed's provocative proclamations attest to the need to reimagine the normative idea of the self that compulsively locates foreignness elsewhere, beyond itself, in the body of the other. Where she says, foreigner, a choked up rage deep down my throat, a black angel clouding transparency, opaque, unfathomable spar. Strangely, the foreigner lives within us. He is the hidden face of our identity, the space that wrecks our abode, the time in which understanding affinity founder. So Kristeva contends that foreignness is not but always already a component of the I. As she investigates the privileged ontological status of the subject that likes to write itself as unitary and glorious, while masking its own incoherences and strangeness. According to her theory, the foreigner is the hidden face, the space, the time, and thus not a figure per se, rather a spatial, temporal alterity which agitates the subject. Sara Ahmed, on the other hand, cautions us against ontologizing the stranger and moves against Kristeva's idea of strangers to ourselves. Identity itself may operate through the designation of others as strangers, as Kristeva says, rendering strangers internal rather than external to identity. To conclude simply that we are all strangers to ourselves is to avoid dealing with the political process whereby some others are designed as stranger than others. Stranger than others. This is how she concluded her idea. Both the compelling position of Kristeva and Sara Ahmed's formulations, though seen at odds with each other, it would be potentially impossible, and thus always, in the words of Marignac, be aporetic. And as quivering ontologies, the figure of the foreigner is enforced between his or her place of origin and the host nation. Immigrant Muslims in the United States negotiate their subjectivity in the interstices of belonging and is often ill-protected to process of appropriation, inclusion and exclusion. Here I would like to mention the book where Marignac writes that her book Alienhood, Citizenship, Exile and the Logic of Difference. Marignac argues that quivering ontologies to be an idea used to navigate us to the intimacy and intricacy of cultural apparatuses that settle the foreigner on a precariously wavering border between being and not being able and not being a plausible and culturally sanctioned subject. The discourse of Trumpism, where the visceral antipathy for Muslims returns with greater fury with verbal and near physical Islamophobic abuse, as Akhtar unleashes and ropes in the surge of racist and anti-immigrant ideology to the failure of American capitalism to advance the hopes of working class people in rural America. So, like Akhtar, the narrator is an American-born dramatist whose own politics have been shaped by a childhood in suburban milkweed and liberal arts education, and his father, an exhausted Sikandar, a future Trump voter, staunch American patriot, a great fan of America, who keeps the copy of The Art of the Deal in living room after a series of professional and personal disasters, fights grief over the demise of his wife. And he admits that he had been wrong about Trump, as his son concludes. I quote, "My father loves America, loves it more than makes sense to me sometimes, frankly. He thinks American, but what that really means is that he still wants to be American. He still does not really feel like one. It's been 45 years and he still does not really understand what it means. Because being American is not about what they tell you. Freedom and opportunity and all that horse shit. Not really. There is a culture here, for sure, and it has nothing to do with all the well-meaning nonsense. It's about racism and money worship. And when you are on the correct side of both those things, that's when you are really belong. Because that's when you start to represent the best of what they think they are. Okay. So, to his father, United States neither develops a phenomenological perspectives on home as it represents familiarity, permanency, order, comfort and place-bound culture that is fixed and rooted. Okay. Impervious to change against change. Nor she encourages, United States, nor she encourages long-term immigrants and inhabitants to get to know one another and practice what Appiah has called rooted cosmopolitanism. When Appiah says, attached to a home of his or her own with its own cultural particularities, but taking pleasure from the presence of other different places that are home to other different people. So Appiah contends that while being rooted is important for us, it need not entail a dismissive notion of others' places. The narrator thinks of Walt Whitman and Whitmanian assertion of expressing through his simple, separate reason to have some kind of collective American experience. Akhtar laments that his tongue too is homegrown. Every atom of this blood formed of this soil, this air. But these multitudes will not be his own. And these will be no songs of celebration. He reminds of Whitman, what I said at the very beginning of my title, Whitmanian membership, Whitmanian crowd. Songs of, and these will be no songs of celebration to him. His sense of the loss of his membership to the Whitmanian crowd as a result of the traumas saddled with 9/11 remains an unpleasant memory for many American Muslims, especially those who feel at home or assumed they were or yearned after. So these elegies of the dream of national kinship or national belonging has only subsided since 2001. Akhtar's recurrent reference to Walt Whitman's Democratic Vistas, a prose pamphlet, comprises 3 essays published in 1871, speaks volume regarding the ideas about the role of American democracy in establishing a vibrant cultural identity. But the narrator recalls that he doesn't have a place in American culture in the same way that his white friends did. As Ahmad says, Sarah Ahmad, in her essay, The Skin of the Community, Affect and Boundary Formation, where she unfolds the notion of strangeness that Kristeva elaborated in Strangers to Ourselves and Nations Without Nationalism. In the given texts, she reassesses the concept of the nation from the position of the stranger. Kristeva delegitimizes the violence that host nations thrust upon foreigners by establishing that strangeness is a component of the nation rather than a threat to it. The violence of nationalism spreads from forgetting of the strangeness that belongs to both foreigner and the host. The discourse of Trumpism invites the narrative and its tropes in exposing the structural exclusions, and more importantly, examine the ways in which the United States and its history become instrumental in declining the citizenship, which has been contested with safety, security, and livelihood of these people hold US as home. So, the emergence of majority-minority, insider-outsider as a parameter of identity continues to be a part of political and electoral narratives, eschewing democratic voice and territorial residence. Like Afzal, an antagonist in Akhtar's play The Who and the What, the mostly secular Sikandar has bought into American dream of working hard and piling up money with similar generosity, picked up 2 decidedly non-Islamic vices, whiskey and gambling. Every brown character in this text, unfortunately, as understands their embrace of America, however passionate, does not guarantee that America is holding them back. The emergence of the boundaries between evacuees and infiltrators accorded differential treatment and identities, and has become instrumental through what Michel Foucault has called biopolitics and Elizabeth Povinelli calls geontologies in the conceptualization of the human right of full membership in their host countries, resulting in the loss of motherland, their linguistic, cultural, economic, and ethnic identities. So the home connotes a shelter primarily meant for Akhtar and for their family members, as he thinks that only the embrace between us mattered now, by hugging his father after a bitter argument. So itself being an embrace of a complicated and difficult patrimony, personal and cultural, homeland elegies travels over the Samnam Bonam of the Trumpian Welchang, or the Trumpian worldview, where the reactions of these novels' American Muslim characters to the 9/11 terrorist attacks are too subtle and complex to brief in a sentence, as Akhtar mourns the tragedy at once suspects and victims. Akhtar's love for America is a lover's quarrel with his country, and at its best it has a candor and seriousness to bear. As the narrator proclaims at the end, I am here because I was born and raised here. This is where I have lived my whole life. For better, for worse, it's always a bit of both. I don't want to be anywhere else. I have never thought about it. America is my home. So here, if I draw some references from Emmanuel Levinas, the Jewish philosopher, it would be better than to explain my argument in a elaborate manner. I hope it will suffice. See, Levinas, in his Totality and Infinity, considers the significance and nature of the home or dwelling as the home shields its inhabitants from the extremities of the weather and the threat posed by the enemies. But what it makes unique and important is the fact that it embodies the genesis from which intentional human activities arise. I mean, the privileged role of the home does not consist in being the end of human activity. So here Akhtar and his parents' ability to recollect themselves is precarious in an unhoused state, and prior to their subsequent inhabitation in a home called America under Trump, the ego lives from the elements in which it is imbued. So Levinas's notion of an elemental state dependent upon the surroundings brings in the existence as an autonomous ego that is at home in the world. I mean, allowing the self to revive itself as it welcomes the I into the borders to dwell. So to dwell, to quote Levinas, is not the simple fact of anonymous reality of being cast into the existence as a stone one casts behind oneself. It is a recollection, a coming to oneself, a retreat home with oneself as in a land of refugee, which answers to a hospitality and expectancy, a human welcome. So Ayad himself feels the specific disorientation of reckoning with the politics of his birth country as a brown man, and how it does and doesn't pain to his self-perception and others recognizing of him. Okay. So Ayat's waning love for America and a firm belief in its supremacy, though once was a creed in their home, defines the essence based on a primordial understanding leading to the separation of a fixed essence from its outer and inessential appearances. Here, Levinas's notion of the process in which the other presents himself or herself, exceeding the idea of the other in me, what we call other space, is the directness of exposure and is defenselessness. So, if I take the quote from Levinas, where he says, the human being in his face is the most naked. Nakedness itself. But at the same time, his face faces. It is in his way of being all alone, in his facing, that violence of death is to be assessed. A third moment in the epiphany of his face, it requires me. The face looks at me, calls out to me, it claims me. What does it ask for? Nor to leave it alone. The experience of the other's face that Levinas maintains a sense of captivation as the ego becomes beholden to other. To summing up, though Homeland elegies reflect the sentiments, mood and moments of time, compelling one to look at the larger picture of the Trumpian era and examining how democratic terrorism have impacted the minds of individuals in the environment they live, chiseling the sanctorum of American power and conquering rise of mercantilism with all its attendant vulgarity, supplants the every moral towards the collapse of American democracy. As the narrative shifts the essence of the political intervention into our personal and social space in recreating a culture of dialogue and toleration with the peace and the proposition of naturalized citizenship. Thank you very much.